Well, okay, we'll call the meeting to order then. We're all set to go. And that was remarkably easy getting Maria
Thank you, Larry.
on Skype. Maria's in Pennsylvania. So we have some distinguished guests with us this evening, and we won't bore you with our town business, our meeting minutes and stuff like that. So we'll go right with you, Patrick.
Okay, I'm Patrick Andrew. I'm the superintendent of schools for Westmoreland Regional School District, and Deborah Ford with me is the business administrator, and Wayne Morrison's the chair of the board, and your representative from Dorchester is Cookie Heater. I'm sure you know that.
Hi, Cookie.
We have a subcommittee called the Communications Committee. Communications Committee,
Okay.
just thinking of ways that we can do better about outreach and getting our message, and we do a newsletter a couple times a
Would
year.
Patrick be able to come closer to the table?
Sure.
I can step closer to the
Sure.
table.
Okay.
I'll step right up to it. So, I can stay for a minute. I've been sitting all day.
Okay.
And part of what we figured out was that you can send emails and newsletters, but unless you actually go connect a face with a name, it's hard to really get your message out there. And something else that we realize is, we're doing a major bond project. There's a lot of cost to that. I know it's the select boards that pass on those tax bills. We realize that. Sometimes you get questions about school expenses or what we're doing, and you may not be equipped to answer that. And what should you do? And send people to us, or feel like you can call us anytime. So I brought a few of my business cards that have both my email address and my cell phone. My cell phone's in my pocket, but doesn't work in most parts of the district. So I leave the select board with that. We have our warrant that we put together, the school board put together, as well as there was one petitioned warrant article. We had our budget hearing last night in Canaan. It was a good meeting. We heard from people who were in favor of the budget, some people who would like to see it be less. So I've got that copy of that warrant here, and both the budget committee and board were able to record their votes of support for each of the warrant articles. There's a total, we start with Article 4, which is the budget. I'm going to give you out a couple of copies, and anybody else who wants to see ours, this is got I've got extra copies if anybody has any interest in that. But Article 4 is for the budget. And you can see there the budgeted amount, $27,408,541, and that default budget would be $26,539,000, and it's recommended by the school board 6-0 with one abstention, and the budget committee recommends 4-3 in favor of that budget amount. With Article 5, there is a contract agreement with our support staff, which includes secretaries, custodial staff, and paraprofessionals that help in the classroom and with students with special needs. That's a really good agreement in my opinion. There's a negotiated agreement between the board and the labor union. It includes $31,000 in cost in the first year. That's 150 employees roughly in that group. The reason why you can get quality raises for 150 people out of 31,000 is that they gave up significant concessions for their health care, which resulted in about $60,000 of savings for the district. Not only that year, but every year going forward. They gave up HMO plans, they gave up POS plans to go to a consumer-driven health care plan, and so it's pretty short money for really long-term savings for the district, and there were really concessions made on both sides. I've been involved in several negotiations, and this was one where I really think there was a good faith effort on both sides to try to come to a fair agreement. There's an article on this warrant that I want to say that I really support and think is for the benefit of everybody in this community. Article 5. Article 6 is for a capital reserve fund, to put money into a capital reserve that funds a capital improvement plan. Those are items that are more than $25,000 that have a life expectancy of 10 years. By and large, our capital improvement plan deals with roofs and with paving in the district to keep those up to date, so you don't fall behind into a situation where you've got a leaky roof or totally dilapidated pavement that's more expensive to repair. Article 7 is for $25,000 into a special ed capital reserve. There is already a balance in that capital reserve
179?
of
179.
$179,000.
Are you capital, actually, are you facilities or are you special ed?
I'm in special ed.
There's 322,000.
322,000 in special ed, 179 is in that capital reserve for facilities. The special ed capital reserve is if we were to have a student that suddenly needs extraordinary care, or and that could happen to any one of us, we'd slip and fall in the bathtub or on our way out of a meeting, and you might need extraordinary care. A placement for a medically fragile child at, say, a Cedar Crest may be in excess of $100,000. You want to have some protection if you were to have experience a situation where you picked up several of those. So that capital reserve is about planning for that contingency, so you wouldn't have to just put that cost all the way through to the taxpayer all at once. There's unanimous support by both the school board and the budget committee for both Article 6 and Article 7. In Article 8, it's a capital reserve for computer and computer accessories. It's for $25,000. And all three of these capital reserves that are out here would be funded out of unreserved fund balance. Meaning if we had surplus at the end of this year, this fiscal year, they would go to those capital reserves. It wouldn't come out of additional taxation next year. So you can see that that's how those are funded.
Yeah, you can do that?
If the voters
Can you
approve
guys
it.
speak up, please? I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, we're getting a lot of static on your end, it just stopped. I don't know why.
I was also getting that static which just stopped.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, good.
There. All three of those capital reserves described in Article 6, 7, and 8 would be out of unreserved fund balance at the end of this school year. Yes, that's why you have to warn those. We can't keep over balance, except for right now, the school board is entitled to, if they vote to, keep up to 2.5% of an apportionment into the next fiscal year, which is what Article 9 is directed to rescind by petition.
Okay.
Article 9 by petition, in the 13-14 year, the voters approved this new legislation that allowed school boards to retain up to 2.5% of their apportionment for an emergency. That would mean some kind of, you have to go back to your school board to spend any of that reserve. You know, similar to, I think towns are allowed to keep somewhere between 7 and 15%, or recommended to keep somewhere.
Yeah,
7
5
to
to 17%.
5 to 17%. There was no provision for schools to keep any. In that 13-14 year, they said they would allow schools to do it if they put it on their ballot and the voters approved it. We did, the voters approved it. The school board didn't retain any the first year. They did retain, I believe, $50,000 the second year in case of a special ed placement that they thought may be coming their way. They did not end up using it. In the third year, they retained $50,000 for special ed and $35,000 for vocational tuition, because we had 3 more kids going to the vocational center than we had originally budgeted for. They ended up not having to use that fund in the budget, so that 2.5% retention, don't feel like it's been abused. There hasn't been a large amount retained, and there hasn't been any of that expended, so the board voted to not recommend this petition warrant article to remove that ability of the board to do so. So I'm sure that will come up at deliberative session. It will be explained. It was introduced by, petition was brought forth by Russell Lester, and he did speak to it at last night's.
Well, that sounds to me like a hot item.
Well, I don't know if it's a hot item, because we haven't used it that much, if we have it or don't have it. And that's kind of our warrant and how it's.
Well, you said for an emergency fund here.
Right. There are stipulations in the law that you can't just access it. The school board.
That's where your computers are coming from.
Oh, that's in Article 7. That is a capital reserve that the board are agents to expend without it going back to the budget committee. Each of those capital reserves in Articles 6, 7, and 8 are capital reserves that the boards are agents to expend.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
One of the things I brought was a little shameless advertising for what's going on in the arts, and a little shameless advertising for what's going on in athletics. Should anybody from here be interested in attending either an athletic event, a concert, here's the schedule. The girl on the front, she's not from Dorchester, but she is a state all-star vocalist, and she's also in the band, and she's also on the wrestling team. So that's kind of an interesting combination of skills. So if anybody else here wants anything about what's going on in the arts, I'd leave a few copies. I know one person I'm going to take it, Dorothy Oaks, because she had so many kids come through our school system with serious talent in the arts. In those years.
Patrick, I want to ask you about Article 5. I just want to be clear on this.
Can you speak up, Steve?
I'm asking Patrick about Article 5. I just want to be clear. So you've got these estimated increases. Is this, these amounts are going into a fund and then will be, how does this work?
How does this work? It's a 3-year agreement. So what a piece of case law that was settled in Sanborn, New Hampshire, settled out is that you have to say what the cost in the next fiscal year, based on the employees we have now. Our estimate is that it would cost next year the voters $31,000 to go through this agreement and give a 3% raise
Oh,
to
I
that
see.
class of
Okay,
employees. It's going to cost $31,000. Then we have to make an estimate of what it would cost the district in years 2 and years 3. Those are estimates based on, nobody knows who the employees are going to be in year
Right.
2 and year 3, so
Right,
you
right.
can't elicit that exact number. But based on our employees that we have now, that's how much they would cost in year 2 and year 3. That agreement has a 1.5% raise in year 2 and a 1.5% raise in year 3 for the employees.
So are because year 3 is a little less than year 2, are you estimating then that you're going to have fewer employees?
No, it has to do with the offset because the concessions they made in healthcare.
Okay,
They've given up quite a bit in healthcare, and that allows us to project a lower cost in that.
Okay.
That and there's a step scale, and more people are at the top of the step. So the first year, they get that.
Right.
All right, I see.
See, they more people are maxed out in that third year,
Right.
they aren't moving any further forward.
Okay, all right, I understand. Thank you.
So that's all I had. I know you have a long agenda, but we're all here, the board chair, the director of business administration, and myself, and basically just offering that if you ever have questions, or you ever want us to come present on anything from the school district, call us up, and we'll get somebody to come out and try and answer your questions, or feel like we're there to try and be a support. We understand we cost the community a lot of money, but we think we're offering some pretty good services right now. You send your kids to an elementary school, which received a National Blue Ribbon Award. It's the only school, elementary school in the state of New Hampshire to get a National Blue Ribbon Award. The way you get that is you have to have very high scores in both reading and in math for a number of years. If you're able to hold those scores up for a long period of time, you're invited to apply. Then you have to show that you really have earned that there's things that sustain for that, and only one elementary school in the state of New Hampshire earned that designation. That's Canaan Elementary. I'm very proud of that. There were no schools in Vermont that earned it. There was only one other school in the state that earned it. It was a high school, and it's a pretty prestigious award. We're proud of it. So I think it speaks to the quality of the schools, and I'm very hopeful about the renovation that continues to be on time and on budget, and will provide some really amazing space for the whole community for art, theater, music, a number of other things.
Congratulations.
So, that's all I had, and just want to outreach to say that we're always here to help you out if we can.
Thanks for coming. Usually we deal with debt work, and usually it's the administrative assistant that deals with
Yeah.
it.
Usually we just send you a bill. We thought we should come by. Usually our only other communication is send us money, so we thought maybe we should stop by. Say something.
So would you take any questions from the public? If anybody
Absolutely,
has
absolutely.
anything? Is
Yeah,
there anything
absolutely.
anybody would-
And we also come out here once a year and have a school board meeting. We travel all the towns once a year, but
Yeah.
we also need to know that we need to do the outreach and say, hey, here's, introduce ourselves as well. And,
Yeah. Yeah, well, Cookie does an excellent job representing us, and she comes to all the select board meetings and always updates us on what's happening at the school, so.
You're very well represented with Cookie Hebert on your board. She's excellent record of attendance and participation, well prepared for meetings. roots up and a longtime member of the school committee and very committed to the work there.
Okay. Nobody has anything, right? Okay, thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good to meet you.
Margaret, is your video on? You know, I had an icon a video icon, when I clicked on it, I came up.
Yeah, we can see you.
Right, but I'm wondering, did you click on your video icon? Because that's what enables me to see you guys, I think.
You still can't
You
see
can't
us?
see us? I didn't know that.
I mean, it doesn't matter that much, but
Well, so the blank screen can be really boring. I don't.
No.
on my Skype screen, it's, the video icon is down at the bottom.
Oh. There. Give it a second.
Hi.
There we go. Sorry.
Let there be light, huh? Okay, and also tonight we have Martha Richards from Grafton County. Hi, Martha.
Good evening.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm glad it wasn't Tuesday evening. I was supposed to go out to Orange, and I decided I wouldn't go, and I'm glad I didn't, because the weather was bad.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Martha Richards, and I'm your Grafton County Commissioner, and I live in Wilderness. And I want to update everybody on our various towns. I have 17 towns in the district. Obviously, you're one of them, and usually I get here in the summer. And I'm sorry, I had forgotten your names.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, that's right, okay.
Yeah.
And you are?
Steve Burke.
Steve, nice to meet you. And our young lady here?
Yes, you were here at least once or twice
Yes.
during the wind project meetings last
Yeah,
year.
the wind project and Northern Pass and all the rest of it. You know, it's interesting, when you speak, the static stops.
Yeah, huh?
I guess it's a sign from the Almighty or something.
Before I get started, and you must be the office manager, what is your name?
Margaret Curry Lemay.
Okay, hi Margaret. I'll leave you with my cards. And like the school people said, I am accessible almost 24/7. Love to come out to the towns and tell you what's going on. We also have printed up some brochures about county government because it's a mystery to so many people. So there's 3 county commissioners in every county, so obviously there's 30 in New Hampshire with our 10 counties. So we have the bios of myself, my colleagues Mike Cryans and Linda Lauer. So we each have different districts, obviously. Some very helpful phone numbers, and then a little information about county government itself. And you may have seen some of these in your office over time. These are our drug cards. And this is a card that is free and there's no membership fee, but people can take this and they get about a 20% discount on their drugs. And we were given this through the National Association of Counties, probably starting around 2008. And in that time, Grafton County, through this, we have saved our citizens about $800,000 in drug costs. We're not dispensing as many as we used to because a lot of big stores like Target and Walmart, even some physicians' offices are carrying some of these drug cards. But they're very viable, and I think it even works for your pets. So anything we could save in this day and age is very helpful. And again, they just take the whole card with them and present it at the pharmacy. And again, if you need more of these for your citizens, let us know, okay? So that's something that we can do for you. So I have a little outline of things that I like to cover in my report. And we always love talking taxes, don't we? So I wanted to tell you, compared to last year and other towns, yours went down this year 0.57%. So you went from last year 60,977 to 60,632. And from largest to smallest, well, here's the top ones up here, and Dorchester is down there, just so you kind of know where you fit in on the chart. And we set the budget. The elected officials, our 26 representatives in the county, have the final word on the budget, and DRA sets the tax rate. We do not have anything to do with that. So it all depends on what we have set for that. This year, our budget that we voted on in July, and in fact, we're coming around to a new budget season like everybody else, is that we're operating on about a $40 million budget now, of which $22 million has had to be raised by taxes, which was that amount that you probably sent in December to us, and we thank you for that. We had taken out a TAN note probably in October, I guess, and that's all paid back now. And as we begin to start thinking about our upcoming tax year, this is going to be a very, very tough year for us. Our revenues are down in the nursing home because of a construction project. We're still paying off the jail. Our health insurance costs, like you're hearing everywhere, going at estimated 12%. And of course, we are looking into other sources for health care for our people. And it was nice to hear the schools saying they had gotten concessions. Some of our employees are unionized and others are not. So we commissioners really get out a sharp pencil. We want to be fiscally responsible, but we also want to run a decent county, and we have a lot of needs with the jail there, with the nursing home and the courts and whatnot. So it's not an easy process. We are all taxpayers, obviously, too, ourselves, and most of us retired on fixed incomes. So believe me, we will be looking at things very carefully, but we know it's going to be a tough year ahead. So I will segue then into reviewing our biggest departments. So as you heard me just say, our revenues are down. Can you hear me okay?
I can, Martha. If you continue to speak up would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
And it's, again, interesting, when you speak, the static stops. In our nursing home, because the revenues are down, because we just undertook a large life safety project we thought would only take us about 4 months. And when this building was built in 1969, obviously fire codes were different. And over time it had been discovered these rules of how long a fire can go in between the ceilings and the walls, so many hours or minutes that you have. And obviously with residents there, you have to be very safe. It was found we didn't have the right fire stoppage material. It gets very technical, and I don't understand all of it. We again thought it was going to be a 4-month project. It almost ended up being a year project, and because of how we did this, the commissioner's office is where the old nursing home was. So the commissioners moved down into the basement. We took 1 floor at a time of the nursing home residents, put them up into the commissioner's office so they could just totally go through each floor at a time without disrupting it. Otherwise, we would have lost even more revenues, would have had to ship off residents to other nursing homes, and maybe even decrease staff, and we didn't want to do that. So we got that project done, and then that floor of the residents came back, and we moved the other floor upstairs for several months. While we were doing that, we also opened up the area around the nursing station to give more room where they could bring the patients out, sitting in their chairs, and be out more in the public, and also so the staff could watch them better. The bathrooms were kind of a little maze of small hallways and whatnot, and with today's bigger people, larger equipment to help them bathe, new kinds of equipment for the very frail patients, we had to have wider openings. So they revamped and redesigned the bathroom areas for the residents, and also put in a little kitchenette in the dining room area where the hot trays come up so they can assemble them more easily and bring them right to the patients at the tables. So we thought, while we're at this whole thing, let's do it. It was estimated to be about $800,000 to do all of this work, which I was amazed at. But because it took so long and we had issues with the construction people, they frankly ate a lot of this project. And they brought in the owner of the company eventually to take over on overseeing the project, because he knew that they were losing a lot of money. But because of this, we have not built back up to our usual number of residents, which is 135. We're at 120 right now. We have a waiting list of patients. It's a very cumbersome process to admit residents. And I'm a former nurse, but we are really pushing the nursing home to expedite this project, or the admission process, so we can get more patients in there. But of course, at this age, many of them are in their 80s and 90s, and some very frail. You no sooner get 2 in than 2 or 3 could die. But it is taking a long time, and we are looking into why it is taking so long, because we've always had a group of about 132 to 135 patients. So with lower revenues, that obviously is affecting our bottom line. And our revenues are made up of Medicare, Medicaid, and private pay patients. So needless to say, there's a different amount with each category of those. But we're very proud of the nursing home. It's probably where at least half of the county's employees work, since it is a 24/7 facility. We have won awards for our nursing home. It's a very dedicated professional group, and I don't know if any of you have ever been up there or have had a loved one up there, but people rave about the wonderful, compassionate care they get. So that is a big expense for the county, and one that is just the way it is. Moving on to our Department of Corrections, we're just starting our 3rd year of this new facility, and have any of you been up to the county
No.
complex?
No.
Well, I would invite you up there, but in the spring, when it's lovely and green on the Connecticut River,
Just a visit, right?
just to visit, yes, but we love showing off the facility, and this can hold 150 inmates, and we can double bunk it and obviously get double the beds. And right now, our census is around 100 inmates, and we've been surprised for a few months now why it is lower than usual. It's not that I don't think people are being less naughty in the county, just not sure what is going on, especially with the winter weather. We often get more of these crimes. And sadly, most of the inmates are in there for drug and alcohol and domestic violence abuse. So it's a rugged group. We've got some alleged murderers in there, but again, so it's a tough group. But with this new facility, we can really segregate off and classify the inmates to the level of the severity of their crime. So it is a much safer environment for both the correctional officers and for the other inmates. And we commissioners go into the jail every month. We visit with the inmates, we see what's going on. And the facility is just as clean and beautiful as when they built it. And again, being a 24/7 facility, we have probably, I think it's between 70 and 80 full-time correctional officers, nursing staff and whatnot, because needless to say, when some of these drug and alcohol cases come in, they are detoxed in the jail, which is not pleasant. We have a physician on staff, and they set up the protocols for how to handle these people as they're detoxing from this. And as you know, there is a terrible opioid crisis in the state right now, and we see it firsthand with what comes into our jail. With the jail, we have gotten their meals down very inexpensively because we have large vegetable gardens. We have a wonderful vegetable stand in the summer, which made about $55,000 this year. So people come from far and wide, and we also donate tons of potatoes and squashes all around the county to churches, to congregate meals, places like the Mascoma Senior Center, and the inmates go around also helping distribute those. So for many of them, it's their first time they've ever done some community service. But we're very proud of all these potatoes and squashes that we send around in the fall. And through the vegetable stand, the fresh vegetables feed the residents at the nursing home and in the jail also puts up a lot of frozen vegetables. So by spring, you hear complaints of squash all the time, but you know, that's jail, that's too bad. But so they get a lot of benefit from it. We also have pigs and we have chickens, so we use the chickens in the nursing home. Only can use the eggs in cooking because nursing homes have some really stiff regulations and you can only use them in cooked products, whereas in the jail they can use the fresh eggs. And the pigs and the cows are slaughtered, so we use the meat from them in the jail. And we are the only county farm still left in New Hampshire out of the 10 counties, and we have about 100 cows, Holsteins and Jerseys, and we milk about 70 of them. And we just had our farmer in our farm manager the other day, and the price of milk is very volatile, and that really affects our revenues. And right now it's $18.30 per 100 pounds, and they're saying it could even go down to $15. And this year I know we budgeted around $18 per 100 pounds, so there's an effect also to our budget, and we have no control over it. We do not consume any of the milk that we produce on the campus because we have no pasteurization. and the company Agrimark comes every day to collect our milk. And if you eat Cabot cheese, which I do, you're getting some Grafton County milk in there. So with the Jersey cows, we have a little higher butter fat, so we get a little more money for our milk. And the Jersey cows have really added a lot to it, and we've got, in fact, a prize-winning herd. Makes us sound like the best little elementary school, but you know, out of the county, the whole county, that to have this award recently was very exciting for how good our cow herd is.
What's the acreage of the farm?
We're over 700 acres. Have you been to the county complex?
I haven't.
Okay, well, the Dartmouth College Highway goes right through it. So on one side is part of the vegetable garden and all the woods and higher fields where we hay, and then on the other side of the highway is where all of our buildings are, and they all go down to the Connecticut River. So the cows graze down there, and that's where our potatoes and corn crop and the pumpkin fields are. So again, I invite you to come up in the spring and see this. And right now we are doing a logging project, and we log about every 10 years. We have a forester up there through the UNH Cooperative Extension, and they mark it out all very carefully. So we're bringing in about $30,000 in income, and they just started the project the other day with the weather now being cold. With our pigs, we do sell the piglets, and they have just bred most of the sows, and they'll be born this spring. And we get about $100 per pig. These are Yorkshire pigs, probably the size of these tables. They are huge, but people seem to like our pigs, and they're very popular. On the farm too, the inmates who are categorized as being safe and capable work on the farm. So it's kind of an intangible benefit that we have on the farm by having the inmates work there. They get tired, so they go back in usually and don't want to misbehave. They also learn to work as a team and take orders from others. Some of them get interested perhaps in an agricultural career, and that region of Grafton County is very dairy oriented, so some of our inmates, once they've been released, have gone on to working at the local farms, and they appreciate the skills that they get from the farm. So they're out there milking around 3 or 4 a.m. and then later on in the day, and men and women work out in our fields during the gardening season and with the haying season too. So it's interesting to see them work around there. They used to do logging and cutting of cordwood, but we don't allow them to use power machinery anymore. Apparently there was a tragic accident many, many years ago, and that's what changed that rule. So those are our 3 big departments: the nursing home, the Department of Corrections, and our farm. The farm is run only by 3 people, the manager and 2 of his assistants, who are just great, energetic people. We're very lucky with them. The other departments, we have a big IT department, because needless to say, with over 400 employees in all these various departments, we've got a multitude of computers and systems and servers and security and whatnot. So that's an impressive bunch. A maintenance crew that takes care of all of the buildings and the lawns and the gardens. The Superior Court is up there. The administration building, which is what we work in with our executive director, Julie Libby, who has been there 15 years and is an excellent executive director. I think Grafton County is a very well-run county, because you probably hear things about Carroll County and Belknap at times that are having problems. And I'd like to give the 3 commissioners some credit for this also, but we're very lucky with Julie. And then, of course, the Register of Deeds, which chances are a lot of you people use at times, and all of that is online. Our foreclosures were down this year, around 2009 or 2010. It was up near 200. We just broke 100 at the end of December, which is still a lot for the county, but at least it is down. So we feel there are some parts of the county that are doing better than others. You certainly still have pockets of poverty. Our unemployment is very low in the county, which sounds good, but for them people who are in business and looking for good people, they can't find them. So it's a mixed bag to say we've got low unemployment.
What is the unemployment rate, Martha?
I don't have a rate for it.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I think we're obviously less than 4%, which I think is about what the state is, and we're very low nationwide as a state. but the specific one, would you like me to get you that?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
That's,
It might even be on our website, if you'd
Sure.
like to look that up. I have some issues going on in our county that I am very concerned about. There's no easy solutions, but these are things that we talk about and we think about a lot, and happy to hear other people's input, the nature of the way life is right now, but number one, of course, is the drug issue with all the deaths. I think they felt we were going to be around 400 deaths last year once I guess they compile everything. And as you all probably know, the fire departments and police departments are equipped, many of them, to administer Narcan. Rite Aid is even giving Narcan to regular citizens. It can apparently be administered through the nose, whereas like EMTs can do it on IV and it hits them much quicker. So, as you know, the governor formed a task force to look at this. It's not going to happen overnight with changes and fixes to this whole thing. I know they're very concerned in stopping the source of the drugs. To me, it's like whack-a-mole. You put one down here, the addicts are going to find other sources. You've got to somehow stop this craving and this desire for drugs. To me, that's intense drug therapy, education to young people, parents teaching their kids about drugs, because apparently with heroin you can get hooked after taking about one hit of this stuff. It is so addicting. So that is a huge problem and will be a costly problem because a lot of this takes money. Another issue is the graying of our county. Nice to see somebody of a younger age here. But it does have huge implications. You know, people wanting to stay in their homes, and you need younger people to help take care of us as we get older. Once we get some of these patients into the nursing home, they've stayed in their homes a long time, and understandably so, but they come in very frail and very sick, and that's a situation where we're very low on LNAs to take care of our patients. Again, that's kind of a young person's profession, and most nursing homes are having trouble finding LNAs. Your town committees and organizations, it's hard to find people to run these, and they're going to die on the vine, I'm afraid. And what young families there are, they love to have their kids involved in activities, but it takes people to run these. So I see big implications with this aging in our county and in the whole state. Again, I don't have any solutions, it's just a fact right now. And with these young people not being here, I think some of that issue, though, is having good jobs that pay benefits for them and affordable housing. Those are two tough issues. And maybe schools that aren't quite up to par. I was thrilled to hear about the Canaan Elementary. So those are some of those issues. And then the Northern Pass issue. I'm a huge opponent of the Northern Pass project. And as you may know, they have said they will bury 60 miles of the 190 miles. And we're saying if you can bury 60, you can bury all of it. And we were just at a meeting in Franklin the other night because the SEC, the Site Evaluation Committee, is holding required county meetings where this is all going through. And it was very interesting in Franklin where they're to have a converter station. The only people that spoke in favor of it in Franklin was the town administration. We were expecting hordes of Franklin people to be there to speak in support of it because the impact on taxes is huge. They stand to get about $7 million a year in taxes in Franklin, which Lord knows they could use. But to have really no turnout of locals supporting it was very interesting to us. And again, the whole theme is bury the whole thing, and then we people will go away who are fighting this. Just bury it all. So stay tuned. It is far from getting built. It's into its 6th year of fighting this thing. And you're all pretty...
Isn't the state capable of just making that a requirement that the line be buried?
No, it's through the SEC and DOE who will be holding hearings also. And of course then the company has to be willing, and right now, as I said, they're only willing to do 60 miles of it. And one reason they said it was the region from Bethlehem down to Bridgewater is because that region of it, the people complain the most vocally,
Right.
which I don't buy.
There's no state body that can say that as a condition of doing business, the line would be buried?
The Site Evaluation Committee may be able to state that you must bury the whole thing, And you'd think after 6 years of this, I would know that, and that's a great question. But I'm not sure if they even have the power to do it. The governor could say bury the whole thing, but she does not have the power. She can suggest it strongly, which certainly would send a message. You know, Ray Burton, our dear Ray Burton, said bury the whole thing or fold up your tents and go home. And that hasn't happened yet. So yes, it may be the SEC who could force this, but I'm not really clear on it, and I don't know if they will force it. They did shut down, you know, the Antrim Wind Project. The SEC did, so they may have this power to say bury it all, or it's not going to happen. I'm surprised Hydro-Quebec is still even supporting Eversource. It's just a black hole of money right now. But what goes on behind closed doors, most of us will never know about too on this. And you're all pretty familiar with the wind issue, and I think that's kind of quiet at the moment. I know they're looking again to revive it and still ringing it around Newfound and whatnot.
What do you hear?
Nothing at the
I don't
moment.
hear anything.
So are they plotting more?
Yeah, probably.
For all I know. And then my last issue of concern is proper mental health care. New Hampshire used to be the envy of the country with our level of care for our mentally ill patients. And since the late 70s, it has just been cut. And we have now at Spear Hospital in Plymouth 2 rooms in the emergency room set aside for people in crisis, and they even have to bring in security officers. And they had an 8-year-old child in there for 2 weeks this past summer who could not get a bed at the New Hampshire Psychiatric Hospital. And even when they go down there, they may be in 1, 2, or 3 days, which is hardly enough time for some of these patients. And to travel from way up in the North Country, Stewartstown, Littleton, and whatnot, down to Concord just is not right. And we need outpatient mental health facilities. So that's a big concern of mine that many of us are fighting. The governor had put in more money for mental health care, and it was diverted off to something else. So I don't think we're really any better off. And with the drug and alcohol situation, we need more mental health care. So those are my concerns that I see, and again, no easy answers. They're all very costly fixes that are required. So that's where I'm at, but I'd like to hear from you, and excuse my back, please, the audience, what's on their minds, and any questions, and if I don't have the answer, I'm very happy to look it up. And by the way, some people asked us about energy up at the county. When I first started as commissioner in 2006, our energy bill was $600,000 a year. So I had lost an election a few years ago and asked the commissioners if I could just stay on and have a county-wide volunteer committee to study alternative energy. And we did that for about 8 months, had many specialists come in, we studied this thing to death, and what we decided on is a wood chip biomass plant would be the best thing. So we are now into our second winter of using this, and we've gone from about 90,000 gallons of oil down to 9,000, and that's even used very sporadically. So we have really cut our energy costs, and the new jail was built with 71 geothermal wells, which are doing very well. So I think we're pretty energy efficient up there at the county. We had an energy audit done at the same time as my running of this committee. So we've had new light bulbs and new things in the nursing home kitchen with fans and overhead hoods and cooking things. So we really have done a lot to lower our energy costs. With especially the biomass plant, when they put it in, then they piped out to all of the buildings. That's why it would be interesting for you to see it, piping out to all of the buildings to use the biomass. So very proud of what we have accomplished up there with our energy costs, so that helps the taxpayers. But again, I'm happy to take questions or concerns from people.
Does anybody have anything? No?
No, I know eventually, you know, I would like to study or do some research on how we can maybe make our town buildings more energy efficient as far as heating and whatnot, but it sounds like when that time comes, the county might be a resource.
Yeah. And I found it so helpful just to have this volunteer group of people, and so lucky to get some physicists and some thermal people, and I had a geothermal guy come from Hanover who worked over at Krell, and whatnot. I'm very lucky with the makeup of this committee. So that could be something that you do, you know, is call together a community group of volunteers to study it, and then you bring in outside speakers. There certainly is a plethora of people in this state and in this region who can help you on this. And Lord knows we got enough forests. It's sustainable and it's renewable. And we had the Timberland Association people come and speak to us because some people are concerned with all these biomass plants. Are we going to denude our woods? And they felt, no, we are very safe with that because, again, it's sustainable and it's a renewable entity to use for energy.
It's our biggest industry, isn't it?
Probably logging, yeah.
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 If, it sounds like some of the budget problems could be improved if we had a improved tax base in the county. But what can the county do to attract businesses here that are gonna pay good wages, good middle class wages, and help the county in that way? If you take Dartmouth-Hitchcock and Plymouth State University out of the equation, there aren't very many good jobs in this county.
Lebanon has a lot like Hypertherm.
Yeah,
And, you know, they've got a business incubator over in Lebanon, and the Plymouth Business Enterprise Center is also a business incubator. And we've got several businesses in there, and I think one or two have gone out now to build their own facilities. We have the Grafton County Economic Development Council, and they work all over the county just for that purpose of trying to bring businesses into the county. No, it's not happening overnight. New Hampshire's tax structure is rugged for companies. You know, I guess this business tax is difficult. We rely solely on our property taxes, which you know is regressive. I'm frankly in favor of a broad-based tax, which to me would spread this out a bit and not be as regressive as relying totally on a property tax. That's why our school taxes are so high.
So when you say broad-based tax, property,
sales
income
tax,
tax or sales tax?
Sales or an income tax. I personally don't care which. You talk to people, some are in favor of one and some are not, especially if they live near the border towns like Lebanon. They don't want a sales tax, or the Salem area. Income tax, sometimes you hear you would not be liable for an income tax if you earn $40,000 or less, and it would even drop your property taxes because other people who are the high earners would take that on. So it certainly is a discussion that could take a long time. I don't think I'm going to live long enough to see New Hampshire ever develop or take on another kind of tax.
Not as long as the legislature is the way
No,
it is.
and it's, to me, it's not rocket science. We need another source of revenue because, again, this property tax is just killing people. You hear it, I'm sure, from your elderly citizens here who just cannot keep up with this. Do I heat? Do I eat? Do I take my meds? Do I cut my pills in half to make them last longer? That's no way to treat our people. So I'm not here, though, to discuss the merits of that, but you heard it because I speak from my heart how I feel about this, because so many people are struggling. And I'm a native New Hampshireite, so I feel I can complain about my state, born and raised in Concord, and now I've been up here since 1980. But I love my job as commissioner. I've met so many wonderful people. I love visiting the towns. Our job as commissioner is very different than commissioners, say, out in the Midwest, who earn really big bucks. But they run hospitals, they do the road projects, they do bridges. Their functions are very different than what we do here in New Hampshire. So I hope I've explained a little bit of County Government 101. The brochures help on that. And again, I'm always very accessible, and should you think about, you know, alternative energies, there's also people that we can just send to you to discuss this. You know, it would be free services. There's so many around, you know, to look over your buildings and whatnot, what could be done.
That'd be great.
So the people are there, and if you think you're interested, you've got my information. Contact me, and we can work together and get a group together to look at this.
Okay. Thank you.
So usually what happens every year is we'll hear a lot about county taxes.
Which is the lowest one on your record, as you
They're
were
going
saying.
up. County
Yeah.
taxes are going up. But this was especially true when the jail was, when
Yes.
they were building the jail.
Yep.
And every year, we don't see it.
Well, we tried to,
And so you must be doing the right things up there.
well, we try to be, as I say, fiscally responsible, but also take care of what needs to be done up at there at the county. And again, we are all taxpayers, we're very cognizant of that and try to keep this within reason. And you need a nursing home that's safe, not only for the residents, but for the employees. Same thing with the Department of Corrections, and that old jail was 100 years old, so I'd like to think we'll get 100 years out of this one. It's state of the art, and again, we welcome visitors to take a look at that place.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Martha?
And the commissioners meet every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. If you're interested in coming, I would call first, but I know we always just meet every Tuesday. And again, there's tours available up there, so call, so we'd have somebody to take you on a tour. We love to show it off, but springtime is better when it's getting nice and green along the river. And of course, that's where the Haverhill Fair is held, which is a lot of fun at the end of July, all the agricultural things and the animals. Very active 4-H program up there also. Thank you for having me, I really appreciate it. And I hope that you've learned some things about what we're doing up there.
Keep up the good work.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Martha.
Well, thank you. You're a good town volunteer, because I know that's what it is, to take time from your vacation to Skype in on the meeting here.
Oh, I'm not on vacation, I'm on grandma duty.
Well, that's fun. Well, that's not a vacation, is it? Well, aren't they lucky? That's great. Well, I'm hoping for a blizzard too this weekend. I like a good winter, and this has been ridiculous, hasn't it?
I know.
Oh my gosh. And there's such a trickle down too if we don't have the snow. You know, the guys who plow, and I'm a gardener, I want my plants all covered up, and
Yeah.
so I don't mind it all. So I'm hoping we have it. That rain on Sunday was disgusting.
Yeah.
Anyway,
See, maybe this Sunday.
yeah. Well, good luck to you as you go through your budget season.
Yeah.
Please remember, I am available anytime.
Okay,
Thanks,
great.
Thank you, Martha.
Thank you.
Guys, I guess I'll just keep clearing my throat, that seems to help with the static, so I'll just talk so often.
Yeah, it does.
I'm not trying to interrupt you, I'll just talk.
Yeah.
Margaret, could you turn me to the stage a little bit?
Here.
Oh, okay, cool. That's
Better, huh?
better. Oh, you know.
Okay, so what do we got, Margaret? We got an agenda and, oh,
Sorry, I'm confusing out the folder.
Should we skip to the to the manifest so that we can sign it? I see Karen's there with the baby, that way she can.
well, that's what Karen's here tonight.
Yeah, Cheryl sent an email.
Oh, okay. Yes, we can.
Thanks, Maria.
Yeah,
Okay. You've had an opportunity to look at the manifest. Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the manifest of payroll and expenditures for January 13th. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded. Is there any discussion on any of these expenditures?
no, other than, Sherman, do you have any clarification on the Forco? Did you see my email to Beth this morning?
I did. Yes, no, I haven't. I don't have any clarification on that.
Is there any reason we should withhold that check till we're sure what year it should be attributed to? So
No.
that we can take money out of the capital reserve fund?
Yeah, no, we should pay it. We have to
And you're
pay it.
sure that even if it's, we're paying it now, but even if it's attributed to the 2015 budget,
We
we
can
would still
still,
be able to take that out of the capital reserve?
sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Okay,
That was my only concern.
okay, good. Anything, Steve? No? Okay, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
It was quite a large manifest, wasn't it?
Yes.
Good thing we didn't get that manifest at the end of the year.
That's right.
So there'll be no treasurer's report then, huh?
I guess not. Thank you.
Which is too bad. We have to get Beth and Cheryl together to get our end of year figures in order. Okay, we'll do the meeting minutes. So December 17th, that was our last meeting, regularly scheduled meeting. Have you had an opportunity to read these minutes?
Yeah,
I have.
I thought I had something, but now I can't remember what it was.
We'll go for it.
I had some corrections. If I state them, that'll quiet the stat.
You see the Sylvia Conte isn't
Oh.
spelled right, right?
Right.
Is there something about that?
No, it was under new business, item 3. Discussion of budget workshops. I don't think I scheduled the budget workshop for the 9th. Did the board do that?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, because you said, you asked me, could I and Maria be there the Saturday before I leave? I said, sure.
Okay, well, all right. Okay.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes from December the 17th. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, more discussion?
Yeah, well, the Silvio Oconti,
You know where that is, but I don't, okay.
I know it's not
Okay,
do you want the spelling of that, Margaret?
Yes, if you have it, that'd be great.
It's Silvio, and then middle initial O, and then Conti is Conte.
But thank you.
Yep.
what else?
Under to be signed on page 2, the discussion about the AED, the sentence Deb Ford is the contact for AEDs, not at Dartmouth Hitchcock, but at the Muskoma School District.
Oh.
More?
And on page 3, isn't the motion to come out of non-public and the motion to seal, that's part of non-public minutes, isn't it?
And you have to take the motion in the non-public to come out, and you have to take the motion to seal, or you don't have to, but we usually take the motion to seal after we come out.
That's right.
So, yeah, you're correct about that. We should take that motion to come out of non-public. So, Jeff, do you have on the non-public meeting minutes from December 17th, which I'm not seeing here?
No, because I have to hold on to them. I can't get them.
Okay.
I did receive it in the mail, Morgan.
Oh, okay. Well, do you have in these minutes the motion to come out? The motion to come out? Yeah. Oh, no, you have the motion to seal here. You got the.
And the motion to seal is in the non-public.
It should be, yeah, well, it is, so. So it's in both.
But it can't be in both.
No.
Okay, so we'll take it out of the public meeting minutes and leave it in the non-public meeting minutes. And we'll take the motion to come out of the public meeting minutes, and we'll put the motion to come out in the non-public meeting minutes. Did you follow that?
Yep,
Yeah. Does that sound right?
sounds right to me.
Okay. Okay, so we're taking both the motion to come out of the non-public and the motion to seal the meeting minutes out of the public minutes from December the 17th. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay, I'll make a motion then that we accept the amended meeting minutes from December 17th. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any more discussion on that? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay. So this one, we might as well do this one until the non-public. We'll do that now.
Yeah.
We have that. So
Yeah.
you don't have a copy of those, no?
No, I think she does. Margaret emailed.
I didn't email regular letter mail. Did you
Oh,
receive
okay.
them, Maria?
Excuse me,
Did you receive the non-publics?
I did,
Okay.
yes. And I'll just return this copy to you when I get back to Dorchester.
Okay.
I see a word missing on the very last line of the first page. It should say other than the person. You see that, Margaret?
These are under the motion to seal.
Yeah.
Oh.
Should be other than a person.
Okay, so we're putting in the, into these meeting minutes, the motion to come out of the non-public. Okay? And let me just see what this motion to come out looked like here. Motion, okay, you got the roll call. So this exact same motion that you have in the public can go into the non-public. Okay, good. Okay, I'll make a motion then that we accept the non-public meeting minutes of December the 17th. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, so then, we met again, huh? December the 21st. Okay. What was that about? Oh, okay. Okay, Steve, you weren't at this meeting.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of December the 21st. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion on this?
There's numbers 1 and 2. Do you see numbers 1 and 2 after the first paragraph? Number 1, private bridge. Number 2, town bridge.
Yeah.
Well, then if you go to the next paragraph, it says, town will build bridge again either way. I think we should take out sentence still makes sense then.
Oh, okay, good, yeah, I see what you mean.
And then down in the last paragraph, second sentence, Eric Strack asked if building permits, I think you want to say hindered there, Margaret, not hindered.
Yes, you're right.
And then further on in that sentence, maybe you want to substitute depend for hinder.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, did I make a motion to accept this? I did, okay, so I'll make a motion then to accept the amended meeting minutes from December 21st. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Oh, abstain.
Okay, December 21st, and then December 30th, oh, we had a sign the manifest, right. Okay, you weren't there. You weren't, okay. That's good, okay. Okay. Okay, I'll make a motion, we accept the meeting minutes from December 30th. Is there a second?
Okay.
You did, you second it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, any discussion?
Didn't we lower the mileage from 60 cents to 54, or was it 50? I thought the mileage
You're
was
correct.
at 66.
You're correct. We lowered it from 60 cents to 54 cents. That's right.
So that needs to be changed twice in the first line and then in the third line.
Oh, okay, yeah. What else, Marie?
I thought the third paragraph, or the last paragraph, was confusing. I wondered if we could just say discussion on highway budget. My intent there was how to make clear to residents that the cost of, and it's truck 3, not truck 4, how to make clear to residents that the cost of truck 3 is covered by the highway budget, and the money taken out of the capital reserve for truck 3 would be returned to fund balance. That was my concern, that people would know that was going to be, that had been repaid by highway and would go back to fund balance.
Right. Okay, that is truck 4. That's not truck 3.
Truck 4?
Yeah, that's truck 4 is what we're paying the lease on.
Right, but the 11,800 is for truck 3.
Oh, okay, the pickup truck, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right, yeah. That's truck 3, huh?
Right, Cookie?
5?
Yes,
That was 11.5.
no, it's
Oh, no.
11.8.
I caught my own mistake.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so you want to take that whole thing out, Maria?
Yeah, I think people will be confused by it.
Okay.
An attempt though, Margaret, because I know I don't always speak in complete sentences. But did I make clear now what I was trying to say there?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, what are you going to leave in there? Discussions on highway, actual budget, to shown budget? Or what are you going to say there?
I just like to put discussion on highway budget. How to make clear to residents that the cost of truck 3 was covered by the highway budget, and the money taken out of capital reserve for truck 3 will be returned to fund balance.
Can you say that one more time, please?
It's a good thing I wrote it down. How to make clear to residents that the cost of truck 3
thank you.
So I'll make a motion to accept the amended meeting minutes from December 30th. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, no more discussion on this, right?
No.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Okay. And we have the meeting minutes from January 9th, which was the budget workshop meeting minutes.
Oh, did we get minutes for that?
Yeah, you don't have those?
This was, I finished them up. I think I emailed them to you the other day, but I hadn't made a couple corrections.
Okay. Well, how about if we vote on these meeting minutes at the next budget workshop on Sunday?
That's a good idea.
Okay, that'll give us a chance to go through these, so,
Okay.
because none of us have read these meeting minutes. Okay, so we'll table that till Sunday. Okay, zooming along, the highway report, I haven't read that. It looks kind of small, huh? Information. Okay, any discussion about highway?
Not about the report, I have a question.
A question for who? For
Cookie,
us?
I hope can answer it.
Go ahead.
Go?
Yeah.
Cookie, just before I left, I got a phone call that North Dorchester was sanded. So, is that true? And can you speak to that?
I don't believe it was sanded, it had been backed up to,
You
no,
know, I can't hear you, so sorry.
tell her no.
No.
The truck went through one time and that was all, because of a broken line.
She says it wasn't sanded, Maria.
Okay, I don't know how to parse that out. I have a resident who doesn't want to be identified who said it was sanded. So I guess I'll communicate with that person and they'll need to be willing to come forward and speak at a board meeting or better yet, speak to you guys at Highway.
Can I ask what the problem is with sanding North Dorchester Road?
It's,
Oh, the part of North Dorchester Road that we don't maintain in the winter? Is that what you're talking about? You hear me?
yeah, I assume, you know, it was Saturday afternoon, the part of the road that was sanded was not stipulated. My interest is just that we're not, you know, maintaining the part that where we have signs saying it's not winter maintained. I mean, I think for public safety's sake, you know, we don't want to encourage people to drive out there when it's not maintained. So you see a sign that says not winter maintained, but if in fact the road in front of you is plowed and sanded, it's going to.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I'll go down and I'll talk to Dean about that portion of North Dorchester Road. Okay?
Sure.
All right. What else? Nothing else on highway? Okay.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Did you get to read the Avatar letter from Mark Stetson concerning the Thayer property?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, it's, you understand what, okay. All right, well, I'll make a motion then that we abate the taxes for Mr. Thayer that he doesn't own, because he doesn't own that piece of property. he never actually paid it, right, but we should have paid it anyhow.
Right.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. And consequently, we'll have to, we'll have to issue a supplemental property tax warrant to the owner of the property. So I'll make a motion that we issue a supplemental property tax warrant to the owner of the property, so the taxes are paid on that property for last year. Is there a second to that motion? You have that motion? Is there a second to that? Maria, second?
Sure.
Okay, any more discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You know, we also have, with the Cheever Chapel, as long as the Cheever Chapel isn't in our name, it still spits out a property tax to the owners there. I think we should abate that property tax,
No,
because it's in the process of being donated to the town.
What's the
I
status?
don't really know that. do I?
Yeah, what's the status of that? I would think that a tax bill might be a motivation to the owners to, I mean, aren't they supposed to be contacting their mortgage holder?
Yeah.
This has been
And the
going,
other thing is, if the survey costs, you know, we have to put that to the people.
Yeah, okay, so at this time, you don't want to abate that, huh? Okay, that's all right.
no.
We don't have to do that right away. But that's an issue that's gonna be coming up.
Right.
So, okay, you don't need this, that's mine. Okay, and you have the, contract for the Rumney Fire Department and for the Rumney Transfer Station to sign for 2016.
The white copy's ours, the signer as well, and the yellow one is the one I sent back. Both need to sign the paper.
Okay. Okay, any discussion on this before we sign this?
No.
Okay. You, Maria, you all set with this?
I'm good with the numbers, yeah.
Okay. 3 times, huh? 3 signatures.
You
3.
should have been 2 and 2, should have been 4.
Oh, I signed 3.
I'll find it.
Okay.
One white, one yellow, one white, one yellow.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Margaret is ready to set up the Gmail accounts.
I agree.
Okay, so you've got to,
Right, we did the password stuff and the.
oh,
we got
you've
our
already
logins.
done it?
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
I
just
sent her the password.
like the initial password.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can
okay,
be changed.
okay. So,
So what happens next, Margaret?
so we're gonna keep the Bluehost, for a year. So, because there's gonna be that transition period, you're still gonna have, emails coming into selectmen@townofdorchester.net, you know, so we don't wanna shut it down.
Right.
So that's still gonna be coming, it's still gonna be forwarded the way it's forwarded now to your personal
Right.
email account. And for the Gmail account, is there any particular heading you want? I mean, it's not gonna be selectmen@gmail.com, it's gonna be Selectmen Town of Dorchester or Dorchester Selectmen@gmail.com.
Dorchester Selectmen sounds good to me.
Yeah, that sounds good to me too.
Okay.
Or we can make it Dorchester Select Women.
Dorchester Select Board, would that satisfy, cover all bases?
But I think it would be a bold statement.
Oh. So how about other email accounts? Is there gonna be like, because you have a personal email account, right? You've got Stephen
Right.
or Steve.Berkeley@townofdorchester.net. So you're gonna have a personal email account that's gonna be, it's not gonna be Stephen.Berkeley@gmail, right? It's gonna have to be,
It can be Stephen.Berkeley@gmail, that's fine with me.
yeah, well, it could be, but should it in some way distinguish for someone who's writing to you at that email address, is writing to you because you're a selectman
Oh, well,
and a town official, shouldn't be Dorchester, Town of Dorchester be in there somewhere or something?
well, I don't care.
You know,
I really
don't either, but I just wanna make sure.
I have so many friggin' email accounts that
I know.
I'm in between work and,
It's just that I don't wanna set this all up and then, then say, well, why didn't we do it that way?
Well,
Why
it can-
didn't- Why didn't we do it? We
it
should
can-
put a little thought into
It
this.
can say Stephen.BerkeleySelectman@gmail, you know, or I don't, Stephen.BerkeleyDorchesterSelectman@gmail. There is actually, believe it or not, another person in this world named Stephen Berkeley with the same exact spelling, and he has a Gmail account, and it's screwed me up before, so.
Well, that's what Margaret and I was, there's probably another Gmail account that says selectmen@gmail. I would be surprised if there's not, so we're gonna have to be a little unique.
But there wouldn't be another one that would say Dorchester Selectman,
There would.
unless it's Massachusetts.
You never know.
Right.
Tell.
Well, you can find out.
When James goes, when James
Find
goes
out,
ahead, I
right.
just
Yeah.
wanna give him what leeway do we have which way.
Stephen.BerkeleyDorchesterSelectman, sounds fine to me.
Because she's gonna have to create for
Right.
the town clerk, for the
Yeah.
treasurer,
Right,
for
right.
the road agent,
Yeah.
for everybody.
So how about the name and then your, whatever your, title is?
Whatever your title is.
With
and then add
the,
Gmail.
at Gmail, with the town, so it would be, cookie dot, or Cheryl.Lake, Dorchester Treasurer @gmail.com. How's that sound? Is that for a format, does that sound okay?
That's fine.
That
Okay.
sounds pretty good
All right.
to me too. And was that it on that? That was our only other concerns on the Gmail accounts?
Yes, it's the forwarding addresses.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
okay. And these new accounts are gonna be forwarded to the same one that where it's going now?
Right.
Okay. Okay. Now, I talked to, what's his name? I forget his name, from CAI. Tim. And during our conversation, Tim said that we don't have to change the map and lot numbers on the new tax maps if we don't want to. I thought.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Weren't you under the impression that we had to?
I got the sense that we would,
Well, he had just said he recommended it.
Oh, he had?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, you know, everybody from Avatar, and I've spent some time with that Mark Stetson, who's gonna be representing Dorchester. They think that we should, they see a lot of confusion coming down the road if we change map and lot numbers.
yeah.
And he gave an example of a town which is going through that, Derry, New Hampshire right now. And it's not worth it, he says.
Yeah, I can certainly see some, I mean, you could get into these strange, never-ending conversations. Well, do you mean the pre-change lot number or the post-change lot number? And which map is that?
Yeah.
Is that the old map, the new map?
There's gonna be a cross-reference, of course, but over time, you know, properties get divided.
That's
They
right.
merged, and you've gotta keep track of
Right.
these all the way through. And so, if you don't mind, I'm gonna tell Tim that we wanna retain our map and lot numbers that we have right now.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I
You okay with
think,
that?
I think all the residents will appreciate that.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't, you know, he was advocating that we change the numbers, but I don't remember a compelling reason he gave for doing that.
The reason that he gave me when I was talking to him the other day was to find, it's easier to find the lots because they're set up according to the roads,
Sequentially.
you know, that way, according to the roads
Right.
as you're traveling.
Right.
One right after another like that. So, but I mean, we're not that big of a town that you can't find, you would have trouble finding a lot.
Right, and a lot of our lots are fairly large parcels. I mean, it's not like a city where one city block will have,
And our
you know,
land use
40 lots.
regulations require 2 acres.
Yeah.
So, you know. So, okay, I'll tell them that.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay, that's all I have. You have anything?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that, you'll recall that when State Senator Forster was here, we talked a bit about the Sylvia Conti Wildlife Refuge. Senator Shaheen has imposed upon the Fish and Wildlife Service to hold another public hearing. It'll be sometime within the next 30 days over in Hanover about the Fish and Wildlife Service's plans to expand the hearing. And they would like select people from various towns in the Upper Valley that'll be affected by the expansion to attend. And it would be helpful if we had an idea of how much property in the town could be impacted by an expansion if private owners decided to sell to the refuge. That might be hard to find out, but if we just...
My understanding is that the property in Dorchester is not being sold, it's will be put under easement.
No, it would be sold.
That's
federal-
not what I was told.
Well, the
but-
federal government is buying property.
Steve,
Yes.
check that?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, I'm gonna double check, because that isn't the information I I got, that the property was gonna be put under easement, so. it's
Well, you
something
can
we should
see the
definitely-
signs down in Canaan now on property that has been taken over by Fish and Wildlife Service that say no trespassing. That's not an easement.
Well, you know, I can't speak to what's happening in Canyon. The property in question is Dave Roby's property. And,
Yeah, but that's on the Canaan border.
right, but they're
Yeah.
concerned with what's happening in Dorchester.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm gonna double check. I was told that he was interested in an easement, that he was not selling his property. So, we'll need to find that out. We can't speak to what's going on in other towns.
Well,
Well, just to find out what,
yeah,
what property is involved, it's that, what we used to call the Casperson property
Yeah.
down there.
yeah,
Yeah, and who would know would be Rick Evans,
yes.
you know,
He
so, yeah. So if you call him, he'll tell you probably exactly what property in Dorchester is being affected by.
I'll
this.
talk to him.
Okay.
Okay. Since he is technically my employer, so. Rick,
Oh,
he's the president of the Timberland Owners
oh, he is,
Association. Yeah.
oh, okay.
Anyway, so that's all I have.
Oh,
But-
okay.
So, and when I find out the date of the hearing, I'll let the town know.
Okay. You're going to this hearing?
Yeah.
Okay, so at least we'll have one slot.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. It's just, and I should reiterate, I'm not opposed to an expansion of the wildlife refuge, but I think it should be done in cooperation with communities and various interests, not just kind of like an invading army march.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
and whether you like it or not.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I understand.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, what you got, Maria?
Well, I was hoping we were gonna discuss what we got from Laura about the church.
Oh, okay, we can discuss that. We don't have to go into non-public to discuss that, I don't think. You're just referring to the 10-foot, and you're concerned that at some time in the future, it might become an issue, the 10 feet, that the town people wouldn't be able to park within 10 feet of the church, that side of the church right over there?
Right.
Okay, but if the church-
We'd like to lose 10 feet in width.
Yeah, but we could do the same thing to them then, right? And they can't fit a car in 10 feet.
Okay, well, I just, given what's the unreasonableness over the AED issue, the unreasonableness over the well, I think we would do well to protect ourselves as clearly as possible, but that's all I'll say.
What's the normal distance for the, what do they call it? Curtilage around a structure that they're taking out of current use. If you're building a structure, you're taking it out of current use, you're determining how much is coming out. You don't just take the dimension of the building itself, but you take curtilage, a little bit more, so you
Right,
can
right.
actually walk around and
Right.
maintain, and that comes out of current use also.
It's a half acre.
Is that,
I believe it's a half acre.
no, I'm talking about the distance around the structure that comes out of current use when you build a structure. They don't just take the size of the structure out
No.
of current use, but they take the structure plus a certain amount of land, which enables you to walk around the structure and maintain it, paint it, or whatever. You know what I mean, right?
Yes. And any roads, I thought they had to take out a half acre, any road leading into the new structure, half acre has to be taken out.
Well, yeah.
Well, I went to a current use workshop and I got the book here, and I got the definition of curtilage.
Okay.
Means the land upon which a structure stands and the land immediately there's no definite size given, including the following: a yard contiguous to the structure, land groomed and maintained around the structure, land necessary to the support and service of the structure.
Okay, but they don't put a number on
They don't put a number, and that's,
it. Okay, so it's up
that's
to
current
the,
use board 301.04.
okay. All right, so what do you want to do? You want to send something back and go for something lower than the 10 feet and see if that flies?
Yeah, or,
Yeah.
you know, maybe it could be, maybe we don't have to name a number. Maybe it could be that the church gives the town an easement, that the current and the historical and current use of the parking lot will continue into perpetuity or something. And so you don't even name a number. Somehow to get across that the way the parking lot has been historically used and is now being used will be maintained going forward. I just,
I think we should go with the agreement as it's written. You know, we can go back and forth on this. I think we've gone back and forth on this almost too much already. So I would like to accept the agreement as it's written.
Okay, well, how about we'll do this? I'll give the attorney a call tomorrow and present it and get her feel.
Okay.
Her feedback on whether it's gonna cause problems.
Right.
Or whether it's reasonable.
I think I understand what Maria's concern is,
Yeah, I do too, yeah, I do too. Because,
but at some point you just have to say, we're done.
yeah, but I mean, you're giving the church already, you're giving them that property that's underneath the church.
Right.
And now on top of that, you're giving them 10 feet more.
Right.
You know, that's there.
you know, I'm not being unreasonable here. Unfortunately, the history there is one of unreasonableness. Out of the blue, the well was, we were prohibited use of the well. So you have to take that into account.
You're right.
And, you know,
You're right, but
we're
it's a
giving
problem.
them a lot. You know, and we're really not getting much in return, other than the well. But we're giving them access to the well in the future. I mean, the town has been, in my view, very gracious and open. And that's all. That's all.
Okay.
That hasn't been reciprocated.
I think the sooner this ends, the better for all concerned, both sides.
Okay. So I'll make the call tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'll get some feedback.
All right.
And we're all gonna be together on Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday morning. And Marie, you're Skyping on Sunday morning?
Yes, that works, yep.
Okay, so that's going to be a regularly, it's posted meeting, so we could make motions and make a decision on something like that Sunday morning. So,
Okay.
we'll do that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
I'll be interested what the attorney says.
Okay. All right, I'll open it up to the public if anybody has any comments or announcements or opinions about anything. Any announcements we have to make about town meeting or anything? Putting the, we're putting the positions on the website, right, that are up for election this year. January 20th is the day that, the sign-up period. 20th to what, the 30th?
29.
29th, yeah, sign up. Selectmen's position, there's 2 planning board positions, right? We need people to run for. budget together. We've had one workshop, we're meeting again Sunday for another workshop. Right now, we got a budget that's $10,000 more than our budget was last year, so we're gonna see if we can find ways to trim that on Sunday. We hate to go up on the budget, but there's some expenses that are coming up.
Could you speak up, Sherman? Sorry.
I don't think I can.
Okay,
Well, the problem is I'm speaking that way,
uh,
you know, so I'm not speaking toward the computer that you could pick up. But I think I said pretty much all there is to say. I can't think of anything else that we have to announce. It seems like there was some other thing. Is there, Marvin, anything else?
we need one more ballot clerk.
We need another ballot clerk?
Right, February 9th and March 8th. So,
Okay, so if anybody's interested in being a ballot clerk,
$10 an hour.
and all you can eat, right? All the brownies you can eat. Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.